Good morning, ladies and gentlemen. This is J.R. Moore coming to you live from deep in the mountains of the Missouri Ozarks on Friday, the 20th day of September, year of our Lord 2019. Welcome to the John Moore Show. We begin our show with something that would probably be banned in Oakland, California, City Council meeting. That would be the Pledge of Allegiance. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. In Oakland, California, take that. Prepper tip of the day, I want to encourage all of you, if you think you might need it, to get yourself a second stream of income. I haven't mentioned this for probably more than a year, but dust collectors, American homes, closets, attics, basements, garages, have all kinds of what I call dust collectors. Brand new gifts, never been opened, things that you used to need, don't need any longer, that if you open yourself an account on eBay, you can start selling those dust collectors. It can be fun. You may want to start a home-based business. We talk about that on Tuesdays with doTERRA. There's many ways to have a home-based business these days, especially with the internet. So that's your prepper tip of the day. We're going to have open lines this first hour. Second hour, we'll have Dr. Lynn Wilbert with us. We'll take your questions, calls, and comments here at Republic Broadcasting at 800-313-9443. I did a guest appearance with Pastor Paul Begley yesterday, and we talked a little bit about Planet X. We talked a little bit about the Red Dawn invasion. My friend Dave Hodges was at the Gen X conference in Branson, Missouri last weekend. And Dave met several former military intelligence officers who, when it came time to retire, they decided to retire to the Arkansas, Missouri Ozarks. They told Dave they follow his work. Most likely some of them are aware and follow my work too. I don't know that for a fact, but I'd say there's a high likelihood of it based on what I found out from other people, prior military, and active duty as far as that goes. I know there's active duty people in the Pentagon listening to me. When Dave asked these gentlemen why did they move to the Ozarks when they retired from the military, they basically told them we're getting ready for Red Dawn invasion. That's what they're getting ready for. They said there's no way on God's green earth that they would live in the southwest part of the United States. Texas, Arizona, New Mexico, California. That's where the main land invasion will come across, of course, is in those southern areas. Red Dawn is not just the name of two Hollywood feature films. No, it's not. The writers of this film did not dream up this thing out of thin air. Red Dawn is an official Pentagon war scenario. That's what Red Dawn, that's where that term comes from, is the United States Pentagon, not from some script writer, screenwriter in Hollywood someplace. The goals of the International Communist Conspiracy, which began more than a century ago, have not changed. They have not. World domination, dominating the world economically, socially, politically, complete domination of the entire planet. That's their goal. That has not changed. There's been no deviation from that. Since World War II, they've certainly been moving incrementally, step by step, closer to achieving that goal. The Chinese are pretty much setting up everything they need to colonize Africa, sub-Saharan Africa. There's not much they want in Sahara Africa, maybe some oil in Libya, but not much they want in Sahara Africa. But sub-Sahara is rich in minerals, resources that the Chinese want to exploit, excellent farmland in many parts of sub-Saharan Africa that the Chinese need room to expand for their ever-growing population. I got a note yesterday after my appearance on Paul Begley's show, a note from a gentleman in Australia wondering what's going to happen there. I told him Well, the Earth changes are going to affect Australia, just like everywhere else on the planet. Need to be 600 feet or more above sea level, at least, minimum. And once the United States goes down and is taken over by the communists, you're next. Australia, New Zealand. Of course, the United States is the only world power that can stand up against the Chinese and the Russians. That's assuming we can even still do that. I'm not sure about that. We've had 4 administrations, 2 Bushes, 1 Clinton, and 1 Obama, 4 administrations that have been incrementally taking our military apart. I'll give you a couple of examples. The first George W. Bush, George H.W. Bush, Grandpa Bush. Before he left office and Clinton took office, he ordered the United States Submarine Command to take away the launch codes away from the submarine commanders so they could no longer independently launch their Polaris nuclear missiles. That was implemented. It was ordered by George W. Bush and then implemented by Bill Clinton. The same fall, the last fall of the term of George W. Bush, the Strategic Air Command was put on stand down, which means they were no longer flying 24 hours a day, 7 days a week. Also, as part of these START treaties, we started cutting the wings, literally cutting the wings off B-52 bombers that were still in perfectly good operating condition, flyable condition, using massive guillotines out there in the desert, I think in Arizona, to cut the wings off and fold them back against the fuselage so that the Russian satellites could see that the wings, in fact, had been cut off and folded back against the fuselage of the aircraft. And filling in the silos, the missile silos, with concrete, dismantling the missile silos in the western states under the watchful eyes of Russian officers. A friend of mine, a very good friend of mine, I've known since 1973, he was in charge of security for Rockwell International's B-1 bomber program. He was very proud to get that assignment and felt really good about it and was doing an excellent job keeping the B-1 bomber program safe and secure from all enemies. When he was given orders by his superiors to allow the top Chinese military people to take a guided tour of the B-1 bomber manufacturing facility 1 weekend, he was incredulous. He asked his superiors, "Why am I even here?" Well, he did as ordered, of course. He followed orders, and the top Chinese military people were given a guided tour of the Rockwell International B-1 bomber manufacturing facility, and not long after that, he resigned. Not long after that, he resigned his position. I personally am aware of, and I've driven past and seen Russian Spetsnaz facilities here in Missouri. I know where they are. I know that the people that need to know where they are. I know they're being monitored. Chinese, they're here. Of course they are. Of course they are. Where are they? Well, they're scattered about all over the country. MS-13, the cartels, of course they're here. What do they bring into the country? Anything they want. If you can bring in cocaine by the ton, you can bring in anything by the ton you choose to. The United States military is as weak as it will ever be on the 20th day of September 2019. Every week, every month, every year until Donald Trump, the damage done by 2 Bushes, 1 Clinton, and 1 Obama is being undone by this president. I'll give you a good example. The F-15. If you're a native St. Louisan like I am, you cannot live in St. Louis and not know people who work for Anheuser-Busch and Boeing. You can't live in St. Louis, and if you're in the dating scene, as I was back in the day, and not date Catholic girls. That's just the nature of St. Louis, Missouri. So I've known probably 30 or 40 people, including relatives I'm related to by blood, that have worked at Boeing over the decades, going back to post-World War II, including men and women who work on the F-15 project. Now, for about 20 years, now F-15 has been around a long time, more than 20 years, but for well more than 10 years, maybe 15 or even more years, the U.S. Air Force would not buy new F-15s with the latest upgrades, the same upgrades that the Israelis and our buddies in South Korea got, for the following reason. It would dramatically show in no ifs, ands, or buts. We didn't need anything better. We did not need an F-35 because the performance difference between the two, the F-15 with the latest upgrades and the F-35, are negligible, almost non-existent. Plus a big bonus, a massive bonus. You can fly the F-15 in the rain. How about that? Can't do that with the F-35. Maybe they fixed that, but how embarrassing is that? You can fly a World War II fighter in the rain, but you can't fly an F-35 in the rain without having issues. Now, after half a century, the U.S. Army is abandoning the .223 caliber, which in many states, I know Missouri, up until fairly recently, it was illegal to even go deer hunting, with the .223 5.56 NATO round. How ironic, because every rifle manufactured since George Washington in the Missouri you could go deer hunting with, every centerfire large caliber rifle, but not the AR-15. I think they changed it now. They allow deer hunting with that 5.56 NATO round. Turning around what the damage done to our military is a very large problem. The patriotic alpha male warriors were basically forced out of the U.S. military, especially at the senior NCO level and flag rank officers, even your all officers, as far as that goes. It was made an uncomfortable place to do, where they have to go to sensitivity training, making alpha male warriors wear high heels and walk down a street in high heels as part of sensitivity training. Our military has become the laughing stock of other militaries. There's conferences where our allies get together, the various NATO countries get together for conferences. Our officers and senior NCOs show up, their officers and senior NCOs show up, and they have different training sessions and outbreaks and luncheons and dinners together and breakfast together. And our guys have to make excuses. Our guys have to be humiliated because of what's been done to our military. Putting women the size of a healthy 12-year-old boy in combat uniforms. Is something broken and wrong with that picture? A healthy 12-year-old boy is about 5'2", maybe 110 pounds. And we're putting adult women the size of a 12-year-old boy in combat uniforms and expecting this woman to go into combat and survive? Is something wrong with that? My understanding is the U.S. Army has discontinued using training combat infantrymen in basic training to throw hand grenades. Why? Because almost none of the women can throw the hand grenade far enough to keep from hurting themselves when that thing blows up. Almost none of them. You'll find one or two here and there. But in terms of women in general, no. Almost none of them can throw a hand grenade far enough to keep from hurting themselves. The men who spoke up, the officers who spoke up against the integration of females into the Corps, back in the 1980s, they very quickly found that their career was over. No more career, no more anything. You're not going to be promoted, your career is over, end of story. All their officers figured it out pretty quick, so they learned to keep their mouth shut. If they want to have a career, a paycheck, and a pension, keep your mouth shut, do your job. We have groups going out into the field, the Army groups going out in the field for training. They have an officer assigned or a senior NCO to make sure that no snakes are killed, no trees are cut down, things of that nature. How crazy is that? Well, things are improving, but it's going to take a while. I would like to see President Trump bring back many of these generals who've been put on inactive status, the warriors, the real warriors, the alpha male warriors, who will chomp on cigars and get the job done. That's what needs to happen. We need to stop the integration of females into the Corps. It's harmful. It's bad for morale. It's so harmful in so many ways. My friend Command Sergeant Major Dan Page can do a 1-hour presentation on this and not even cover half of what he's got in real-world examples of the harm done to our military by the integration of females into the Corps. Okay. All right. Just getting some details here from my engineer about what's going on. What most Americans think most of the time when it comes to women in the military is a comment such as, well, if they can do the job, they should be there and do it. That's what most Americans believe. Here's what they don't know. First of all, the women can't do the job. Any job that they can't do, for example, in training, any training exercise, any training protocol that women can't do is either modified so women can do it or eliminated completely. Here's a break. Call number is 800-313-9443.
It's happening, ladies and gentlemen. We here at RBN are working with Front Sight Firearms Training Institute to bring our audience the best in combat, tactical, and defensive firearms training. Whether you're a private citizen who is new to firearms or you have a concealed weapon permit and want a level of training that surpasses what you've received from your local gun range, Front Sight provides priceless education and skills taught by seasoned law enforcement, military, and private citizen instructors to levels that far exceed law enforcement and military standard. With nearly 1 million responsible citizens trained from every town, city, and state from across the United States, Front Sight has bolstered the Patriot movement to a whole new level. Contact Dan Sutterfield by phone at 573-762-2356 or 573-465-2356 or shoot him an email at domedan, DOMEDAN, at hotmail.com. This is a limited time opportunity. Don't miss it.
We are back. Okay, we're back, ladies and gentlemen. J.R. Moore here on Friday the 20th. It is the 20th of September. My website is thelibertyman.com. That's where you find the notice for our Caribbean cruise. Everybody needs a break. Everybody needs vacation. It's going to be a fun vacation. It will be romantic if you choose it to be. All the details there at my website. We're leaving Port Canaveral in Florida on the Royal Caribbean Harmony of the Sea ship. This ship is a luxury resort on the water is what it is. 20 restaurants. Can you imagine that? 20 restaurants. It'll be fun. It'll be educational. I'll be there, of course. My friend Leon Green will be there. We hope to have Sam Andrews. No confirmation yet. Details at my website at thelibertyman.com. This cruise is going to go. This cruise will definitely go. I'll definitely be there. Leon will definitely be there. The first time we tried this, we really didn't have a clue what we were doing, but we got it figured out now. If you don't have internet access and you want details on the cruise, give our cruise director a call, Betsy Murphy, at 636-530-9502. I say again, Betsy Murphy, our cruise director, 636-530-9502. During the invasion of Iraq, there was a young woman taken prisoner, Amy England. It was big news at the time. The Iraqi military captured her. The son of a friend of mine, I know this gentleman, he was a Marine. He was part of the detail to rescue Amy England. There's all these stories circulating about the Iraqis were going to torture this girl and rape her and do all these horrendous things to her. Well, our guys got to the hospital and they rescued her. And when she was interviewed, she said she was treated as nice as she could be treated. No torture, no rape, very professional medical personnel taking care of her. And that was it. Now, what's not very well known at all is she was in a convoy, first of all, moving through, whatever it was. I think it may have been Baghdad, it doesn't matter. A young Specialist 4 held off the Iraqi army by himself with an M16 that kept jamming, which is no surprise, M16s jam, for quite a while before they were overrun. I don't recall what his status was, he was captured or not. But this young man was very heroic in what he did, single-handedly holding off the Iraqi army. So why was this girl in this convoy to begin with? At the time, and up until it's only been about a year or so, we officially allowed women to be in combat jobs. Well, here's a heads up. If you're in a combat zone, you're in combat. Seriously, you are. Now, the proper role for women in the U.S. military is where they traditionally have done the best job, done their patriotic duty, and performed with commendable results, is in the medical corps. Women in the medical corps, that's where they need to be. That's where they do their best. That's where they save lives. And frequently, that American nurse was the last human being that many GIs saw before they passed on. We need to go back to that. We need to go back to protecting our women, putting them where they can do the best help, the best job, and that would be in the medical corps. I don't know what President Trump has planned in this regard. We have women who have many years of excellent service in the military, doing their jobs. We can't. It wouldn't be proper, it wouldn't be right, it wouldn't be ethical, probably not even legal to terminate their careers. We need to let these women finish out their careers. And we also need to stop any new women from coming into the military, except in the medical corps. That's what needs to happen. There was a big deal. I remember the first female jet fighter pilot was attempting to land on an aircraft carrier. Now that's dangerous business, to say the least. A lot of moving parts there. She damn near killed herself. And there's this big celebration that a woman has become a jet fighter pilot. Excuse me? Jet fighter pilots are shot down over enemy territory. Jet fighter pilots are captured and taken into custody and tortured. Jet fighter pilots suffer injuries in combat. And we're intentionally putting women in that position with intent, as opposed to protecting them. The America I grew up in did not intentionally put women in harm's way. The America I grew up in protected women. Giving women the same status as healthy, young, alpha male warriors is wrong on the face of it. Women, by definition, can't be alpha male warriors. Well, obviously they're not males, are they? They can't. I've seen photographs of all the African-American women at West Point in uniforms, standing there in uniform with swords trying to look tough. It's really pretty funny. Here's a bottom of the hour break. We'll be right back.
You are tuned in to the Republic Broadcasting Network. Visit our website by going to republicbroadcasting.org.
Corporate media dominates the American opinion. Finding independent voices that counter this avalanche is becoming increasingly difficult. With the endless corruption running rampant throughout our government, independent voices are needed more than ever to battle the offensive against our freedoms and liberties. As a listener of RBN, no one understands this concept better than you. Now it's up to you to do your part. The time has come for you to take action and begin broadcasting the truth to hundreds or thousands of people every month. Sound impossible? Quite the contrary. With pointed slogans from LibertyStickers.com, you can reach countless sleeping Americans unaware that they live in a real-life wonderland. LibertyStickers.com has a huge inventory of political bumper stickers and messages that reflect the truth about our government, our politicians, and the future of America. With so many in stock, there's one perfect for you. Visit us today at LibertyStickers.com. Again, that's LibertyStickers.com. Do your part. Your voice is important. Let it be heard.
All right, back with Jerry Moore here on Friday, the 20th September. My website is thelibertyman.com. That's thelibertyman.com. Under products, we have Amazon products. Second thing down there, Amazon products. There's probably maybe 300 or more different items there. I mean, it's a lot. And I haven't added much to it recently, but I will be adding to it again soon. Things you may not know even exist when it comes to field gear, tactical gear, things of that nature. So you need to check that out. Also, my website, of course, are energy cleaners. With normal life, you need lots of energy, you need good health, you need a great night's sleep on normal times. With what's coming at us, it's not optional. It really is not optional. You need an energy cleaner. During any kind of crisis, you're going to be sleep deprived, even with the energy cleaner. You're going to need more energy. Energy cleaner will help you. Now, several hundreds of you already have your energy cleaner, and you're getting the good results every day. Who else on your team needs one? Probably everybody, quite frankly. If your team member is healthier and has more energy, that makes the whole team safer. So consider that. Details on the energy cleaner at my website at thelibertyman.com. You can read up on it, read the wonderful testimonials by people we know like Steve Whitman. Place your order there for the energy cleaner, the mattress pad to go with it. Using PayPal, MasterCard, Visa, you can send me a check. My address is there at the website. And I have a toll-free hour line 24 hours a day. Here it is, 800-592-9543. So again, 800-592-9543. I've talked to Jeff Nyquist about this issue of women in the military. He believes, and I concur with him, that there are communists behind that. People like to point out the use of the Israeli military women, which they did back in 1947. Small country with just a few million people under attack by tens of millions of screaming Muslims. Of course, the women were in combat. They had no choice. Their survival was on the line. They were up against the wall. They don't do that anymore, though. Putting women in combat situations intentionally. No, they don't do that. No modern military that I'm aware of does that. The Russians don't do it. The Chinese don't do it. The North Koreans don't do it. They keep their women safe and protected, give them special elevated status because they're women. They're the mothers of our children. This is what we fight for. This is what we protect. The goal of the communists is to destroy Western culture, to destroy Western civilization, to destroy our most foundational values, one of which, of course, is to protect our women. This whole American exceptionalism thing is, well, it's based on some false beliefs, false narratives. Yeah, we're a mighty country. We do marvelous things. We have women in the Olympics doing marvelous things, women athletes doing marvelous things, and that's the way it should be. I've been an athlete all my life, and I certainly appreciate what other athletes can do. I know the work it takes, the dedication, the spiritual dedication, the emotional dedication, the physical dedication it takes to be a winner in whatever athletic event it may be. That's wonderful. That's great. What's it got to do with being in combat? Nothing at all. Nothing at all. Another example. Now, if you're on the battlefield and you're hurt and bleeding out, your buddy needs to be able to pick you up and carry you back to where there's help and you have your life saved. If your buddy can't do that, you're going to bleed out and die. That's my reality. That was the Army's reality until the women started coming in. When I went through basic training, every soldier had to be able to pick up a soldier of equal weight. So a 150-pound soldier had to pick up another 150-pound soldier. Fireman's carry, that's over the shoulders, where the soldier being carried has his torso up on top of the shoulders of the soldier doing the carrying, and trot around a quarter-mile track. If you couldn't do that, if you weren't able, didn't have the strength to do that, you couldn't be a soldier. End of story. There was no ifs, ands, or buts. That was a fundamental, not optional requirement of every soldier in the United States military, the U.S. Army back then. They no longer do that. Why? Because almost no women have that strength. Yes, there's some. Of course there's some. It's such a tiny percentage that there would be that could do that. It doesn't matter. Now we're allowing the men, of course, who don't have that strength to become soldiers as well. There's many, similar examples. The one I give frequently is West Point with the M14. The M14 became the training rifle of West Point in 1959, I believe it was, and it still is today, 60 years later. So today, on Friday the 20th of September, the West Point cadets are out there on the parade field with their M14s. There's something called the manual of arms, where the soldier does left shoulder arms, right shoulder arms, present arms, order arms, inspection arms. So back in whenever it was, I think it was in the mid-1970s, about 1975 or so, 1974, they brought the first female cadets in. A friend of mine, he was there. He was an upperclassman at West Point when the first females came in. They did a nationwide search to find the brightest, the most motivated, the most athletic 18-year-old young women that they could find nationwide, and they got them. They got the brightest. They got the most highly motivated. They got the most athletic 18-year-olds from around the United States of America. Not a single one of them, not one, had the upper body strength to do inspection arms with the M14. Holding the rifle, the entire weight with the left hand, pushing the bolt hand with the right hand, bolt back with the right hand, reaching over with the thumb, and depressing the little mechanism that holds the bolt back. Not a single one could do that. Well, here's a problem. The Commandant of West Point requires every cadet to do the manual of arms, which includes inspection arms. That can't be changed. Congress requires the women to be there. That can't be changed. These athletic 18-year-old women can't get any stronger. They're already the top athletes when they got there. That can't be changed. That's number 3. There's one thing left, number 4. That's the rifle itself. The rifles issued to the women were taken to the armor at West Point. The armor disassembled the rifles, removed the recoil spring, cut the recoil spring to where it was weak enough that the women could overcome the spring and do inspection arms, and they were reissued to the women. That was done 40 years ago, and it's still done today. What does that mean? That means the rifles are no longer rifles, they're display pieces. That's all they are. You can look at them. It looks like a nice rifle. Feels like a nice rifle. Can't be shot, though. It's just a display piece. So when people see these women, the size of a healthy 12-year-old boy, marching around with a rifle almost as big as she is, they think, oh, isn't that great? These young women are doing everything the male cadets are doing. Isn't that great? We're America. We can do all this wonderful stuff. Well, that's a fantasy. The women can't do it. None of them can do it. That's reality. And all the cadets know it too. They know, all the male cadets know that the female cadets are given special treatment. They're given a special pass. They're allowed to get by without doing the things the male cadets do. That's common knowledge. Everybody knows it. Everybody knows that the male cadets were as weak as women, they'd be sent home. They all know that. And of course, it becomes common knowledge within the rest of the Army also. Double standard. It's not equal treatment, it's a double standard. Now, back when these wars started in 2001, I thought, and I was probably saying this on the air, I thought, well, when these body bags start coming home with American women, that'll be the end of women in the military. Well, I was wrong. The culture has changed to the point where American public tolerates American women coming home in body bags. It's become acceptable. It's become okay. It's become the norm. That's an outrage. Shouldn't be that way. That's the way it is. We shouldn't celebrate what women are doing in combat. We should mourn the fact that they're there at all. That's what we should be doing. We should be putting an end to that. When we control both houses of the United States Congress, that's when it should have took place, but it didn't. It didn't. If we get control of the House back in 13 months, and they take office a few months after that, maybe something will finally be done. I don't know. President Trump will be reelected, of course. That's a given. The front runner, Joe Biden, what a joke. I was talking to Paul Begley yesterday, and when Paul and I were in Cincinnati in May, Paul's event turned out more than 300 people, standing room only. Joe Biden went to an event and had 30 people show up. Actually, I think he didn't go. They called it off before he even got there because only had 30 people. That's the front runner of the Democratic Party. He announces an event and 30 people show up. Even John Moore can get more people out there than that. I've had more people than that at one of my meetups. So President Trump will get reelected. That's a given. Of course he will. I don't know how high a priority is for President Trump to revamp the military and no longer allow women to be integrated into the Corps. Let the women who are in there finish their careers with honor and distinction. That's what should happen. While we no longer bring teenage girls into the military who've been brainwashed into thinking they can do anything a man can do, that's a fantasy. That's a fantasy. Now we have the mass media is looking for the first woman to be in the NFL. Why is that a priority? Now, I've seen females, in fact, my grandson's high school football team, there was a woman on the team. Washington state law mandates the coach issue a uniform to any student who wants to be a football player. Consequently, there was almost 100 young men, and I don't know how many young women, at least one overweight young woman, who had a football uniform on the sidelines. The young woman never, ever set foot on the field during a game, ever. I asked my grandson for his comment on the woman that they had on the team, and he had a very simple response. She can't run. Well, she couldn't. I watched her attempt to run. That's all it was an attempt to get all that fat moving in the same direction at the same time. I was there for my grandson's last game of the season. Her parents came out to the field. They were so happy and so joyful with their daughter, who had just finished her senior year on the high school football team. And she went on to become part of some kind of women's professional football team of some sort, which is a bunch of silliness too. I have seen, I understand there's been women on high school football teams as kickers. Now, it is possible for a kicker to be subject to very violent action on the football field, where a very fast young man like myself, I could run the 100-yard dash in 10.0 seconds back in the day, would hit that kicker before the ball's kicked with everything he's got. That's allowable. That's doable. That's within the rules. It's ethical. It's a right thing to do, is to stop that kicker from kicking the ball. And a really fast guy can do that. So what happens to her fallopian tubes when she gets hit the equivalent of a 15-mile-an-hour automobile accident and helmet right into her vital parts? What happens? Well, it could have a very adverse outcome, couldn't it? I have a relative related to by blood, a niece, who wanted to go in the military. She was being recruited to be a musician in the military, in the U.S. Army. And her outfit was a outfit that did maintenance on helicopters. This is back when the war was really hot, back in the early 2000s. So I studied up on what happened to her type of unit when it was deployed in Iraq. What happened to the musicians? They did two things. They did three things. They did perimeter duty, guard duty. They guarded prisoners, and they did convoy duty, which is the most dangerous possible thing you could do in Iraq other than going on raids. Convoy duty. That's where we took the majority of our injuries and fatalities, was convoy duty with these landmines that were planted there to blow up our convoys. So I explained this to her, and she said, well, I'm going to do it anyway. Well, luckily, her outfit was never deployed to Iraq, and she's still in, and she does a great job as a musician and helps promote the Army at public events, and God bless her, she's doing an excellent job and has had a great little career as a part-time job being a musician for the United States Army, and I'm very proud of her for doing so. I don't change my position that discouraging her in the first place, because I knew the risk that she was in. It was purely luck of the draw that her outfit was not deployed to Iraq. And a lot of prayer. I'm sure her mother was praying for her. I know my wife was praying for her. I was, that her unit would not be deployed to Iraq, and thank God that did not happen. The possible consequences could have been an absolute disaster. The Command Sergeant Major Page, I'll get back to this after. We got a break. Right back.
Public Broadcasting Network depends on listener support of our advertisers and of our sponsors. We'd like to especially thank all of you who have taken advantage of our fundraiser with FrontSight Bonus. Those who are now FrontSight members, please train as soon as possible for your sake and for that of our nation. And please consider sharing your training and what you've learned when you arrive home. Republic Broadcasting Network has to stop promoting this fundraiser on air and on the website in just a few days. Dr. Ignatius Piazza, president of FrontSight, made a gracious exception to his no media rule for us at Republic Broadcasting Network. Thank you, Dr. Piazza. And once you've been to FrontSight, feel free to call your favorite host and share your experience on the air. We can continue this fundraiser without media help, but it'll be totally up to the listeners to spread the information. Please call Dan Sutterfield in Missouri at 573-465-2356, 573-465-2356. That's 573-465-2356.
All right, we're back, ladies and gentlemen. I was talking about Command Sergeant Major Page here just a moment, but I just had a thought. Women in the military, they go on sick call more than twice as much as men. I told my niece, I said, you're going to be out in the field. You're going to have to urinate. You'll have two choices. You could squat down in front of the men and urinate in front of the men, or you hold it. There's no third choice. Women get dramatic percentage of urinary tract infections because they don't want to squat down in front of the men and relieve themselves. What normal American woman wants to do that? This is not the third world. We don't grow up under those circumstances. It's a common thing in third world countries is to have women squat in public and relieve themselves. We don't do that. So they hold it and they get urinary tract infections. I'm shocked. I'm surprised. That's reality. They don't tell these young women that when they're being recruited. They're told about the college money for college they'll get. They'll be told about the pay they'll get, the status in their community, the career they'll have, the pension they'll have, all the other benefits that go along with being in the military, active duty, and a veteran. No, they don't tell them that they'll have to squat down in front of the men and relieve themselves or hold it and get a urinary tract infection. That information is withheld. They don't tell them the reality of, no, this is what you're doing, what you're getting into is not a movie. What you're getting into is reality, where reality is young women do not have the upper body strength of young men. End of story. It's not going to change. And movies and whatever fantasies you grew up with aren't going to change it. I don't know what priority this has for President Trump. I know he wants to rebuild the military and make it stronger. That can't happen as long as women are in the military in the way they are. Until women are put in a role where they serve best and can make best use of their abilities in the medical corps, our military can't possibly be as strong as it needs to be. It can't, and it won't. Got a top of the hour break coming up here in less than 2 minutes. We'll have Dr. Lynn Wilbert with us. We'll be talking about health-related matters. And, of course, Dr. Wilbert will take your calls. If you got a question about health-related matters, we will entertain those calls. Our Monday show with Sam Andrews continues to grow in popularity. Firearms Monday. When you're at a point in your career where Remington comes to you and asks you to take over one of their divisions, do you think your career has reached a pinnacle? Of course it has. Sam Andrews has been at that point for quite a while. He is on a first-name basis with the movers and shakers in the industry. He knows what works. He knows what doesn't work. He's been in combat. On this show, he talked about him personally shooting down Russian helicopters in Afghanistan. Yeah, he's seen the elephant, as we say. He knows what combat is. And that Monday show is really picking up in popularity. Tuesday with Steve Ben-Nun is also growing in popularity. Steve was with the CIA for 8 years of his life. He left that career. He still has many excellent contacts in this country and Israel and other places. The second hour with Leon Green, we go all over the map with Leon. We not only talk about doTERRA oils, we talk about our favorite truck, the Deuce and a Half. We talk about a lot of things. Here's our break. We'll be back with Dr. Wilbert.
listening to Republic Broadcasting Network. Because you can handle the truth.
Good morning. We're back our second hour here. J.R. Moore here on Friday the 20th of September. Prep tip of the day, I want to encourage all of you to consider getting a second stream of income. You may want to look at selling your dust collectors around the house on eBay, maybe start a home business, and then use that discretionary money from your second income to do what you need to do to buy extra food, maybe water filters, things like that, medical supplies. We have patient Wayne Greenman with my friend, Dr. Lynn Wilbert. Dr. Wilbert is my personal physician, and we're going to be talking about health-related items. If you got a question or comment, give us a call at 800-313-9443. If you need a private consultation with Dr. Wilbert, would like to be a client of his personal cell phone number is 314-495-6480. Good morning, Doctor.
Greetings, J.R. Moore. Glad to be here again.
Good to have you, sir. It seems like these Fridays come around quicker all the time, don't they?
Like someone has sped the time up, I can't believe it. It's Friday already. That's correct.
That's right. That's right. It's Friday already. Well, sir, it looks like the heat of summer may finally be gone. Here we are near at the end of the third week of September, and I'm ready for some fall weather. How about yourself, sir?
I would love some fall weather as well. The only thing that comes after it is winter, and that's what I'm not that fond of. I spent 3 winters too long in Minnesota, and
I'm surprised you got through the first winter up there. I God bless you. I would not voluntarily go up there for winter at all.
Well, I went there to go to chiropractic college, and we visited in the late summer, which the summers are beautiful. You just have to deal with the mosquitoes with all the water. But I didn't think it could be this much snow in any one place ever. But it is, and I think we'll get a little bit of it today. This season, this winter season. Things like I'm sure you may have seen it on YouTube or may have done it yourself. You take a pail of water and you toss it in the air, and before it hits the ground, it'll freeze.
That's right.
Now, the first time I did it, I didn't believe it. And the second time, I was a believer. And that was the same year that my eyeballs froze in place.
Oh, yes.
My brother lived in Minnesota. He says, oh, yeah, wait till your eyeballs freeze in place. Now, if you have no concept of that, you don't have a frame of reference. And I didn't have it. I'm going, what are you talking about? That simply cannot be true. Well, in the middle of that second winter, because it snows in foot increments in Minnesota. And what they do is they'll shut down northwest streets and then plow, north and south streets rather, and then they'll plow the entire city, even the smaller streets. And then they'll have you park where they plowed, and they'll plow the other east-west thoroughfares. And in 2 days, the snow would be clear. I mean, it was just amazing, the system that they have. And this happened to be a Saturday morning. My Volvo is snowed in, and my 2 young children need food. So 3 blocks down and 3 or 4 blocks over was the grocery store. And I had on sunglasses, but I didn't have the ones that the skiers wear, the wraparound ones where the air can't really get into your eyes.
They're more like goggles, aren't they?
Yes. And I get to the end of the second street, and the wind picks up. My eyes started watering, and they froze in place. That would be
pretty scary.
Fun.
That would be pretty scary.
That was pretty scary. Yes, it was. Took my gloves off, rubbed my hands together, got them unthawed, put my gloves back on, and then I ran to the store. There was no more walking.
Right.
And so coming back, I had 2 bags of groceries so I can put them in front and shield the wind, and I could just look down at the sidewalk and make sure I wasn't running into anything. But that was one of the scariest things I've ever seen. The first time I saw a mosquito in the daytime, in the wintertime, was in Minnesota. It was hovering around an evergreen bush. And I'm going, is that a mosquito in the wintertime?
Really?
Yeah, they don't hibernate. They don't hibernate. And so by the time it's warm again, the ongoing joke is the mosquito is the state bird. And you can hear them. You can hear them coming. And it takes a lot of mosquitoes for you to hear them coming. Yeah, you can hear this one coming. You can hear one coming. And the final straw that did it, usually on every break, we'd hop in that little Volvo, and it would drive itself just about to St. Louis. And we get to St. Louis one Thanksgiving, and it's springtime still here in St. Louis.
Right.
Summer or whatever it was, but it was warm. And we've had some Thanksgivings like that, and so we were going to stay the entire weekend and go back on Sunday, and the weatherman says, well, there's a big snow coming out of the Dakotas. It won't get here till Sunday night, maybe Monday morning. And I said, honey, maybe we should leave a little earlier and not run into the snow. Well, they were incorrect. We left Saturday evening. By the time we got on the other side of Chicago, heading toward Wisconsin, these giant snowflakes started falling down. And that's where we fill up, is in Chicago, because we can get to Minnesota without having to stop again. And then all of a sudden, it was torrents of snow. And before you knew it, it was inches on the highway. And it kept snowing, it kept snowing. It was snowing so much, John, that every 10 minutes, with the defroster on, I would have to roll my window down, snap the ice off my windshield wiper so I can see, and then keep going. And I couldn't go really fast because the highway, you couldn't tell the difference between the highway and running off the highway.
Right.
It just blanketed with snow. And so the only choice I had was to go slow, maybe 30 miles an hour. Then here comes a big truck, and they handle the snow. That truck took off. I jumped in his tracks, and I held on for as long as I could. And then he left me. I only saw this. And I would do that every time a truck comes. So that by the time we got to Minnesota, the only person on the street was my family and the giant snow plows. The snow came a day early. It came a day early. This time, we navigated to the house, and I couldn't park. I had the snow was up over the door handles in front of our house. So I had to shovel a space to park, and then shovel some logs so that my family can get into the house. That was Thanksgiving. Then we go to Easter, which is the winter of '84, and we come to St. Louis, and again, it's springtime. We drive back to Minnesota, and it's another 10 inches of snow in April. I say, honey, this is it. I'm calling Logan University in St. Louis. If they accept me, we're moving. And so this is April, May. They get an application to me May, June. I send it back. They said, yes, we have a space for you to start September 1984 class. Come on. I said, honey, we're gone. We were home before the 4th of July. We moved that weekend nonstop almost just to get out of that place. It was unfit for man and machine and animals. You know, when I came back, everyone in Minnesota has what's called a freeze plug heater.
Right.
Where you take the freeze plug out of the end of the block, you put a heater in there, and it has a cord attached to it so that you can warm your car up, plug your car up and be warm in the morning, and it would go to instant warmth. I mean, that was the thing to have. You expected your car to start in that frigid weather. My daughter was born May the 29th, 1983, and there were 10, 12-foot mounds of snow at the end of May. That was 83. We hung around one more winter, and that was it. We were out. Logan said, yes, you can start, and I started Logan University September of 1984, and I have been back to Minnesota since. The entire time that I've been here in St. Louis doesn't equal one winter of snow in Minnesota.
Well, I talked to people who are thinking about relocating to Minnesota, North Dakota, Montana. And the first question I asked them is, have you ever experienced winter in any of those states? You need to do that before you make that kind of decision to sell your place and buy property in one of those northern states. Upper Peninsula, Michigan is just as bad, if not worse.
Yes.
They make when you're up there in Minnesota, they make fun of what we call winter down here, don't they?
It's really not winter. No, it isn't. Real winter is the Dakotas, Minnesota, Wisconsin, Michigan. New York gets a lot of snow up north too, so I'm just not fond of snow at all. I don't do any snow sports like skiing or ice fishing. No, I don't do that. So we just have to endure the winter.
Right. Well, Doctor, the various seasons bring different issues with people's health and well-being, doesn't it, sir?
The what part does? Health?
I say that the different seasons bring different issues with people's health and well-being, doesn't it?
Well, absolutely. I mentioned this Austrian physicist. He was around in the early 1900s. I think he passed away around 1930-ish or so. But he's touted as the father of stress. And so he studied the physiological reaction of the human being to stressors. And on his list are strong emotions, malnourishment, injury, pregnancy, which we don't have to deal with directly, and exposure to extreme cold and heat. And so as the seasons are transitioning, see, we're part of the environment because we live in this environment. And being a part of the environment means that you must adapt to the environment. If you don't know what to do, because animals and plants, they know what to do. They know how to adapt to the environment because they are programmed to do that. It's an innate thing when they were created. So they know right now the tops of the trees are starting to get brown, and if you look closely, you'll see that they're already making little buds for next spring, so that when the leaves fall off, they're already into spring. All they have to do is get through the winter, and they usually do. But if you don't know what to do when the seasons change, then it could put an additional stress or create a stressor for your system to respond to. Like this season right here is changing already, and people are starting to cleanse. Most people will call it a cold or a flu. However, that's just a name. And if you follow the concept that a picture is worth 1,000 words, if you say cold, how many pictures do you create?
Well, I guess it would be up to the individual, wouldn't it?
So it was nothing good. It's nothing good. If you say my arthritis is acting up, how many pictures do you create in your mind when you say arthritis? You certainly don't get one of a dancing ballerina. You get a picture, and if a picture's worth 1,000 words and you say that word, now you got another picture that creates 1,000 words, and you do the math, pretty soon you'll be spiraling in waste. Cold and flu is merely the necessary adaptation of your immune system to get whatever is trying to live inside your body, because that's what happens. People say, oh, I caught a cold. No, you didn't catch a cold. You created the environment for the bacteria or virus to come into your body. So if you're cleansing, when that happens, there's already almost instantly an increase of fluid, increase of mucus. And so if you're cleansing through your upper respiratory tract and your sinuses, then that's called a cold. If you're cleansing through your muscles and joints, that's called a flu. But it's a necessary cleansing in order to keep the pH of the blood, and this will never change. The pH of the blood stays 7.35 to 7.45. That's a narrow 1/10 range of alkaline physiology. And so the body will activate its white blood cells made by the liver, and the increase of mucus is what allows the white blood cells to travel to whatever space they have to go. And their job is to evict the virus or bacteria that has come to live in your 5-star hotel and restaurant, also known as your body. And so when that happens, most people keep doing what they've already been doing. Fruits and vegetables are really good. But if you're already cleansing and you eat fruit while you're cleansing, doesn't matter what the fruit is, most fruit have just a little acid, oranges more, bananas less. But they still have a component of acid, and that little bit of acid supports the cleansing. So now you go from a 3-day cleansing to a 5-day or 7 or 14-day cleansing. So if you're already cleansing, which a lot of my clients are, I tell them, number one, you have to increase your water intake because you need more water. What do you think the mucus is made of? Water. What is blood made of? Water. Neurotransmitters, water. Cerebrospinal fluid, water. Lymphatic fluid, water. So you're using more water, which means you have to become more hydrated. And the average rule is half your body weight in ounces of water. I've started to do that already. I consume easy 100 ounces of water.
Hold that thought, Doctor. Hold that thought. We got a break. Call numbers 800-313-9443.
Tired of being lied to by mass media? It's growing more and more apparent today that news is received less and less through standard media outlets. Even with a growing audience every day, RBN is beginning to direct more efforts into social media. Social media and the use of the internet is fast becoming the primary source of people for news, regardless of demographic. RBN has set out to provide some of the best news on the internet through republicbroadcasting.org, and also has begun to use the tools to our advantage by way of social media. Republic Broadcasting is now operating a Facebook page to function as yet another avenue to have our collective voice reach new audiences across not only America, but across the globe as well. The Facebook page features not only news, but also an RBN player to listen to our broadcast. Get involved by visiting facebook.com/Republic Broadcasting and liking our page and share it with your friends and family, because you can handle the truth.
All right, we're back, ladies and gentlemen. J.R. Moore here on Friday the 20th of September. We are going on a cruise. This one is going to happen. You can join myself and Leon Green, possibly Sam Andrews from Firearms Monday. We're not sure yet. Details at my website at thelibertyman.com. We're leaving in February the 9th, returning the 16th, back to Florida. And it'll be a lot of fun. It'll be romantic if you choose it to be. We're going to have Valentine's Day right in the middle of it. All the details are there at my website at thelibertyman.com. If you'd like our cruise director to mail you a nice full-color brochure, give her a call. Her name is Betsy Murphy. Her telephone is 636-530-9502. I say again, 636-530-9502. Visiting with Dr. Lynn Wilbert. If you need a private consultation with Dr. Wilbert, I understand people don't want to discuss their personal health things in front of 10,000 people. Just give Dr. Wilbert a call at 314-495-6480. This is our short segment, Doctor, about 3 minutes.
All righty. So we got about 3 minutes with this segment?
Yes, sir.
Okay. So let's get back to the cleansing process. It's normal, it's natural, it's necessary if you accumulate enough acid to where your environment starts to become more acid than not. Again, remember, acid is handled by the body with itis, with inflammation. So an acid joint is arthritis, and acid colon is colitis, acid sinus is sinusitis. So when they say those words, it's merely describing the body's perfect response. Remember, we are perfect stimulus response organisms. We don't have to think about how our bodies respond, but our thinking can interfere with how our bodies respond. For instance, if you take a morsel of food and put it in your mouth, you don't give much thought to how it's going to be eliminated or how it's going to be broke down and assimilated. You don't give much thought to that, but it happens automatically. In fact, I know a physiological phenomenon is that you can actually eat a meal standing on your head. I wouldn't suggest doing it. However, you have smooth muscles in your esophagus that will make sure that the food gets to the belly. And then the belly starts doing its thing. So our body responds perfectly to everything we do to it. And that's called lifestyle. It's called lifestyle. What do you do most consistently on a moment-to-moment basis? And so if you're a stinking thinker and you're complaining all the time, you don't get much exercise, you eat all of the wrong foods. Some people think a vegetable is a French fry. No, it's not. It's a starch. And so you're eating more starch and protein than you are fruits and vegetables, which, by the way, is the number one reason why we have so many colon issues in this country, is because of improper food combining. We are a steak and potatoes country. That's improper food combining. Starch has a different enzyme than protein. The body prefers the starch because it breaks it down beginning in the mouth. It begins to break down the carbohydrate in the mouth so that by the time it gets to the stomach is already half a step ahead of the game because it began a breakdown process in the mouth. And so if you follow that with a piece of meat, the brain's going to say, well, no, I'd rather the carbohydrate. Why are you giving me meat? But the meat tastes good, and I want meat. Okay, so now you eat the meat, and the stomach doesn't instantly change from starch enzyme to protein enzyme. It doesn't. In fact, it probably wouldn't do much at all. But the protein will start its breakdown process due to a starch enzyme. So now you got this combustion going on called, heartburn, but it's just the chemical content in the stomach that doesn't match. And so the stomach sends it to the small intestine. Small intestine say, wait, hold it, you didn't do nothing to this. The stomach says, I know. Can't send it back. Small intestine say, well, we'll send it to the large intestine and see what happens. Large intestine gets a hold of this partially digested protein. And are you guys on vacation up there? No, we just couldn't do nothing with it. Okay, so what do you want me to do with it? I don't know. Well, the colon can't do anything with it. It can't compact it. It can't extract the minerals or B12 or whatever it's doing. And since it can't extract and compact, it cannot send it out the body either. So it stays in this long colon someplace. And so to protect itself, the colon creates an encapsulation. In other words, it puts a bag around that fermented, putrefied, undigested protein in your colon. That's called a polyp.
Okay, now I got a question for you, doctor. So we talked about this a week or two ago. So you got this polyp in your colon, and it's encapsulated. What does it take to get that out of there other than surgery?
Oh, surgery is the most promulgated method. In other words, they talk about it.
It is. We got a break. We'll get back to this. We'll get back to this after the break. Everybody, stay tuned.
You are tuned in to the Republic Broadcasting Network. Visit our website by going to republicbroadcasting.org.
It's happening, ladies and gentlemen. We here at RBN are working with Front Sight Firearms Training Institute to bring our audience the best in combat, tactical, and defensive firearms training. Whether you're a private citizen who is new to firearms, or you have a concealed weapon permit and want a level of training that surpasses what you've received from your local gun range, Front Sight provides priceless education and skills taught by seasoned law enforcement, military, and private citizen instructors to levels that far exceed law enforcement and military standard. With nearly 1 million responsible citizens trained from every town, city, and state from across the United States, Front Sight has bolstered the Patriot movement to a whole new level. Contact Dan Sutterfield by phone at 573-762-2356 or 573-465-2356 or shoot him an email at domedan, DOMEDAN, at hotmail.com. This is a limited time opportunity. Don't miss it.
All right, we're back, ladies and gentlemen. J.R. Moore here on Friday, the 20th of September. My website is thelibertyman.com. Got a note from one of our listeners. She had not looked at my website since it's been redone. She was shocked and amazed and pleased. Now smartphone compatible. Very nice. Lots of things there, lots of information you can't find hardly anywhere else. The speech by the top Chinese general to his own top military people, I think, is very significant. The complete text is there. It's 20 pages. You can print it out. It's PDF format. This is very foundational information that everybody needs to be aware of. You really do. It's got a lot of attention since we got this published. Also, my website, of course, if you want to improve your energy, wake up pain-free in the morning after sleeping at night like a small child, like I do every night, what you need is an energy cleaner. Seriously, you do. $285 shipping included. Keep in mind, I do something most healthcare professionals won't do. I offer a 90-day money-back guarantee. That's what I do for me to you personally. The energy cleaner, it's $285 shipping included to American zip codes. The mattress pads that go with it, they vary in price depending on what you need. Everything's in stock right now. Twin size, full, queen, king, California king, the handy travel size. I'll be taking my energy cleaner when I go to the Caribbean cruise with me. I expect there'll be other energy cleaners. I know Leon's going to bring his. There'll be other ones there too. Get the details at my website where you can place your order using MasterCard, Visa, PayPal, of course. PayPal is wonderful. I have a toll-free order line 24 hours a day. Here it is, 800-592-9543. I say again, 800-592-9543. Visiting with Dr. Lynn Wilbert. If you'd like to be a client of Dr. Wilbert, just give him a call. If he's not there, just leave a message. Dr. Wilbert's telephone number is 314-495-6480. Well, Doctor, I think it's pretty common knowledge that they like to do surgery to move these polyps. And what else can be done to get those polyps out of there, sir? We can't hear you, doctor.
There's a number of things you can do. The most common is a colon cleanse. And there are natural colon cleansers to help do exactly what it says, clean out the colon. See, originally, man was not designed to eat meat. We ate fruits and vegetables, nuts and grains, but we didn't eat meat until after a certain time period in human history. And so our system wasn't designed to process meat like, let's say a wolf has a very short digestive tract, so they can take in meat and process it quite quickly because they're carnivores. And so when we became carnivorous, our colon didn't change its design. We just thought it was okay to consume meat in large proportions. Some people consume meat with each meal. That's not a good idea.
No, it's not.
The body physiologically cannot handle more than 46 grams of protein of any kind. Not plant protein, we're talking animal protein. 46 grams. They did a study with young college men, and they gave them 500 milligrams of supplemental calcium and then let them eat as much meat as they wanted. And at the end of each day, they were calcium deficient, even with the 500 milligram supplementation. So the conclusion of that study was we can handle more than 46 grams of protein. If we put more than that in, then we're changing the environment inside our bodies.
Now, 46 grams would be about the size of a pack of cigarettes, correct?
Exactly. Deck of cards, yes. A small chicken breast, that's the maximum that we are supposed to, but most of us don't. Do I exceed 46 grams of protein on days? Well, some days I do. But I know for a fact that I consume 85% fruits and vegetables. And again, since we're in the transition period, you decrease the fruits. Now, apples and oranges and bananas are good all year round. Berries, watermelon at the end of this month is out of season unless you live in California or Florida. Otherwise, it's out of season, and fruit should be only consumed when it's in season. There's a book I thought of. I can't think of the author's name at the moment, but it's called The 22 Non-Negotiable Laws of Wellness. And this gentleman had terminal lung cancer, and he just did a lot of research about what to do and how to do it, and he eventually became cancer-free, and so now he goes all over the country helping people to understand these laws, and this is a law. So if you violate the law, you have the consequence of violating the law. And one of his laws states the law of minimal medical invasiveness. Minimal medical invasiveness. That means that you don't want them probing inside of you. You want it as little as possible. So with the use of the information highway, the internet, there's all kinds of natural colon cleansers that will help clean the colon out. Quite frankly, John, I've never had a colonoscopy in my life, and I don't plan on it. I've only had 2 prostate exams in my life. I don't plan on having another one. For Dr. Wilbert White. Minimal medical invasiveness. I know how to take care of my colon. I know how to take care of my prostate and all the other organs. You just have to keep the environment mostly alkaline. And if you have any itis anywhere, then your environment is changing to acid. Doesn't matter what cell it is, but it can't be the heart cell. The heart cell is the only set of cells that cannot handle acid. You never hear of a diagnosis called heartitis. Now, the sac around the heart is called pericardium. So you will hear pericarditis. So when that sac around the heart inflames, that means the lungs have to work harder, creating upper respiratory issues. That's why you have 2 lungs instead of 1. Lungs are the primary pumps of the body. The heart is the secondary pump, but it has a specific job. That's to pump oxygenated blood to the entire body. But the lungs get the deoxygenated blood, the blood that doesn't have much oxygen in it, and it takes it and recycles it, and then sends it back over to the heart, and the heart sends it back out again. However, the heart cell, the set of heart cells, if it becomes too acid, that's called heart attack. Heart attack. And it's still the number one reason why people die in this country, and women more than men. Figure that one out. I think it has to do with more hormones and emotions, but that's just a theory. May have something to do with they're able to procreate and we're not. Just a theory. But when you exceed the limits of physiological alkaline acid balance, then your body has to have raw materials to neutralize or to buffer the acid so that the pH of the blood stays 7.35 to 7.45. It does not change. If it changes, you have moments left to live. You've exhausted all of your buffering abilities to neutralize the acid. Now the pH of the blood is over its limit. You have minutes left to live. When I learned about that, I just could not believe it. And the more I study it, the more it's true. I've seen it happen. It's happened on a number of occasions. The pH of the blood goes 7.46 or 7.34 or 7.2 something. And the physiological ability to stay alive is no longer capable. So the system will shut down systematically because it knows that the time on this planet is over. See, your healing system has this understanding, and your brain has this understanding too, that the heart has to be happy at all times. If it's not happy, meaning the pH of the blood changes, you will eventually have heart failure. And so the brain says, hey, I need somebody to buffer this acid. I need somebody to neutralize this acid. But we don't have the raw materials. What are the raw materials? The raw materials are minerals. We can't make minerals. We have to ingest minerals. There's very little minerals in meat. Not much to speak of. But in fruits and vegetables, there's all kinds of minerals. The Rolls Royce mineral is organic sodium. Organic sodium. Really? Yeah. It's like driving from Missouri to California in a Bentley with 8 people. It'd be a comfortable ride. When you put those 8 people and drive from here to California in a Ford Focus, it's going to be a little tight. It's going to be a little complicated. So the body, you will get there, but it will not be the same pleasant conditions if you were riding in the Bentley. And so if you don't have enough organic sodium, and what's the source where you get organic sodium? Green leafy vegetables, greens of all types. Some other vegetables have sodium, but they don't have as much as green leafy. Oh, and by the way, iceberg lettuce should never be consumed by a human being. They haven't been able to do anything about the parasite that comes with the lettuce. So you need more parasites in your body. No. Green lettuce, romaine or kale or something like that, because they have the raw materials necessary to buffer the acid, keep the blood 735, 745, and keep the heart happy. See, the brain knows that. If the heart's not happy and checks out, most of the time everybody else has to check out too. It's called a heart attack. Now, if you happen to survive a heart attack, like Born's Jewish, the hospital here in the Midwest region, they make you join the I Survived a Heart Attack Club. They give you a little cap, a little T-shirt, and they teach you how to handle stress, get exercise, positive emotions, eat correctly. Well, if it's good to help you not have another heart attack, if it's good to prevent heart attacks, it is good to do before you get one. At least that's my opinion. And so when we don't have enough organic sodium, the only other mineral that can substitute for sodium is calcium. Calcium. Now you have sodium, calcium, you have iron, magnesium, all these minerals, they have different responsibilities in your system. But only calcium can replace sodium. But here's the problem. For every 1 sodium, you need a whole bunch of calcium. For every 1 sodium, you need a bunch of calcium. And that's one of the reasons why a lot of people are becoming vitamin D deficient these days. And I asked one of my mentors this, and he had never considered it from this perspective. In order for you to make vitamin D, which your body does, it converts sunshine. You don't need about 20, 40 minutes of sunshine in a week to make vitamin D. However, when you start to use calcium to replace sodium, you need so much of it that you become calcium deficient. And so in order for your body to convert sunshine to vitamin D, the kidney and the liver work tandem to do that. You have to have a ratio of 10 to 4. 10 calcium and 4 phosphorus. I think that's what it is. 10 calcium and 4 phosphorus. But the ratio has to be 10-4. What do you have? What happens if you have 8 calcium and 4 phosphorus? You cannot make vitamin D. You must take vitamin D. It's an important vitamin. But then on the flip side, if you don't have enough minerals, you can't use vitamins. You need minerals in order for vitamins to be processed through the Krebs cycle. The metabolic process of breaking down food to extract glucose from the food that we take in. So now you're calcium deficient. You need vitamin D, and it's primarily because you don't have enough minerals. And where do you get them? You have to eat them. We cannot make minerals. We have to ingest minerals. We have to eat them every day because we use them up. We use them, so we have to put them back in. Like driving past the gas station, and you see the gas needle on E. Now it's on the back side of E, and that little light comes on, and you drive past the gas station one time too many, it's going to stop wherever you are. It doesn't matter where you are. It will stop because you ran out of gas. And that's what happens when we don't have enough minerals. We start taking it from everywhere. And here's what the body will also do. Since you didn't change your lifestyle to begin with, you used up all your sodium, and there are several organs that that store sodium, and one of them is the gallbladder. So when the brain says, hey, I need some more sodium, the gallbladder says, well, I'll give up my sodium. Why? To keep the heart happy. Yeah, to buffer the blood so the heart can be happy. Minimize the itis in any cell. And so when the gallbladder gives up its sodium to keep physiological balance, it leaves behind a precipitate. It's called gallstones. Now, gallstones made of cholesterol and bile. You don't need a big gallstone to block a bile duct. Gallbladder empties bile into the stomach, assists digestion. Well, it gave up its sodium. We can't get bile to the gut, and every time to the stomach, and every time you think about food, you get an increased awareness. Notice I didn't say pain. Most people, I don't want pain. Yes, you do. You want increased awareness because that's your body, the perfect messenger, letting you know that you are creating an imbalance in physiological alkaline acid ratio. So now it's going to tell you in no uncertain terms, but you think it's something wrong. No, it's the messenger. Oh, my knee is killing me. No, it's not. It's helping you to slow your pace, maybe lay down a little bit so the heart can recover. Oh, didn't think about that. Well, I got a problem with my shoulder. No, you don't. No, you don't.
Hold that thought, Doctor. Hold that thought. We got a break. Call number is 800-313-9443. We are back, ladies and gentlemen. J.R. Moore here with Dr. Lynn Wilbert. If you'd like to be his client, get a private consultation, just give him a call at 314-495-6480. Doctor, we've got about 3 minutes here.
All righty. Well, remember, and we've been duped into believing something different. We've been duped into believing that our bodies can do something wrong. That is the furthest thing from the truth. The design of the body has never changed. So we are perfect stimulus response organisms, just like the rest of creation. We have the ability to interfere with our function when we use our minds incorrectly. And by incorrectly, I mean any emotional upsetness of any kind. If you knew what emotional upsetness did to your physiology, from this moment forward, you would learn everything you could to learn how not to allow yourself to be upset. And, of course, we can run off road every now and then, but do you snap back? You certainly don't run off road in a Pinto. You need a four-wheel drive truck. But if you run off road in a Pinto, those hills and valleys are going to soon let you know that you're off road. But how soon do you snap back? I mean, even I occasionally have a thought that I know is going to create a physiological change. What do? I change the thought. If you have any thought that doesn't make you feel good, it's your responsibility to yourself to change that thought to where you feel good about it, even if you have no control over what it was that you were thinking about. But you do have control over your thoughts. And thoughts, every thought affects every cell every time. Thoughts, feelings, and emotions are related. The emotion is the feedback from your body. The feeling is what you feel in your heart. And thought is created by your conscious mind. And so when you create a thought that creates a feeling that doesn't feel good, you get a feedback from the body called energy and motion. Emotion. Time to change the thought. So that you don't change the physiology over time. It doesn't happen instantaneously because you still have minerals. You have a great supply of them. If you keep putting them back in, then you won't run out of minerals. But as soon as you run out of minerals, now you have a physiological change, and you would get every condition known to man instead of a heart attack. So whatever condition you think you have, It's instead of a heart attack. I can't say it any slower, but it's absolutely true. See, when you buffer the acid created by lifestyle, and again, improper eating, not drinking enough water, not getting enough exercise, your chronic stinking thinker, you have to learn how to be upset, because all babies are happy unless they require attention. Hold me, feed me, play with me. Otherwise, I'm happy. And so we as adult human beings have learned that unhappy is okay. It's not. Just take out a huge machete and repeatedly stab your liver until it hemorrhages. And then if you don't change your thought, guess what will happen? Your liver will soon stop working. That's not good. And so in order for us to have a positive effect on our life, remember, every thought affects every cell every time, either health-enhancing or away from health-enhancing, which is an emergency. An emergency. So we monitor our thoughts, make sure we're getting 85% fruits and vegetables. Get out and walk. It's the easiest exercise to do. It's contralateral. It helps stimulate circulation. You feel good hanging out in nature.
Absolutely, Doctor. I couldn't agree more. Thank you, sir. We are out of time. Have you back next Friday.
Have a great one, Johnson.
Thank you, sir. That's it for the day. It's it for the week. Medical supplies, your energy cleaner, your essential oils. Now, while you can, your farms and ever good. Please have a fun, safe, productive day and weekend. And God bless America.